because this involves you too.
Well.
Yeah.
Oh,
So a very important investigative article was dropped today by Cigar Dojo. Are any of you aware?
The cigar band thing?
The cigar band report card was dropped, and I was curious because I have had some band issues. Jeremy, any guess on what grade Caldwell Cigars got for their bands?
For the bands?
Yeah.
I mean, I would think it would be high because I think they're unique.
But it's how easy it is to take the band off versus how hard.
I would say.
Then we're low on the totem pole because our glue is like, we've heard this a million times. So D.
So D, Zach, what do you want to guess?
I would have guessed high because mine always come off pretty easy. I would have guessed like a B, but other than like the last Czar, all the Barba ones are super easy.
Tony.
It doesn't help that they use Gorilla Glue.
That they use Gorilla Glue.
Well, I think in the scope of things, mine is the easiest of all of them. I think Henderson's new cigar is the worst because they use real glue for the metal bands, and then the bands heat up as you're smoking the cigar, so it's like you get a little extra how do you do as you're smoking?
Well, so according to Cigar Dojo's people on the inside here, they gave Caldwell Cigar Company a C- for their bands.
C's get degrees, man.
They got the C-. La Barba Cigars was not even rated.
I only have one band.
I know, but they didn't even rate it. I was kind of pissed. I was like, wait, I can't even do the full joke because La Barba didn't even get on the ratings list. And I think the real thing we want to know here is that CLE Cigars got a B, which is kind of bullshit, if I'm being perfect.
So the top rated one are just naked cigars, so there's nothing to take off?
Well, Ashton got an A-. So I'm trying to see who else got an A.
Dojo, you should have done this on who has the coolest bands, not on glue, because you just rip the band and then it comes off super easy. That's what I do. I don't actually pull it apart back here. I just rip it down the center because I don't keep it because I'm that guy.
I just smoke the paper.
Sounds to me like they just lost their chance at some more collaboration. It's weird.
Well, my father's cigars got a C. And our good buddy Juan from Protocol Cigars, they got a B-. So they did all right.
Espinosa got a D, so it was like,
So tell me this.
Yeah.
What
Go ahead.
did Leaf by Oscar get? Because you have to unwrap a whole leaf before you get to the cigar.
He got a D. He got a D.
I think Joe Sharma brings up a great point in that I'm so confused. How is that important?
Yeah,
I agree with
it's just a thing, and I felt like it was enough related to our content that I would bring it in tonight. I was trying to think if there was another company that was surprising to me. Oh yeah, Tatiwahe got a D, so they did worse than Caldwell.
Well, his bands they're little. Like the brown label bands are so little on the back, they're hard to like. It's like the secondary band on Romacraft. Like the first one's easy, but then if the back's real small, like that's what's wrong with Caldwell bands because the backs are really little, so it's hard to get unless you have fingernails to kind of dig it out of there.
Dude,
we're getting ready to go live, fully live with the show, but I think that I'll just leave you with this since you mentioned Romacraft. Is that you mentioned Romacraft? They got the worst grade.
It's so hard. It's so hard to get those bands off.
They got the worst grade.
Agreed.
And it's totally okay for us to talk about this because we're not saying any of these things. Technically, this is Espinosa. Yeah, Espinosa. You mentioned Espinosa. They got an F. They did the same as there was a big thing. I saw our buddy was Will Coop was on there chat, like talking in their comments about how they're the same company, and he didn't understand. Anyway, so for those of you who were, oh yeah, this is true. They should have judged OG Siempre. There's no clue at all.
Mm-hmm. That's why Lost and Found wins. Don't have to take the stickers off.
1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots, 2 shots, 1 shot.
Welcome back to another episode.
It's frozen on your face from the shots.
Is it really? It's not.
Oh, there we are.
Okay. Well, welcome back to another episode of Four Shots.
Tony, I think you should tell them before we start. Obviously, we are alive, and you did not die.
Yeah. So that was gonna be part of my fresh shit. Is that I don't? But it's okay. So I don't even know what happened. I do know that I ate an entire box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch and a half a gallon of milk, and my phone was in my dryer. Why, I have no idea. But I woke up and couldn't find it and had to use the Lost My iPhone app in my own house, and it was in my dryer. So, but I don't remember the end of the show, and I don't remember anything about it. So if I did anything embarrassing, then I'm sorry. It actually gave, I was talking to Matt the following day, and I'm a big believer in like the multiverse kind of idea, and I think a version of me in that multiverse actually passed away, and I'm just the lucky like part of that multiverse that keeps going. You know, like there's been times in my life where I've definitely died. So I think that was one of them. But everybody called me the next morning to check on me for whatever reason. Like you called.
But what's funny is I called you to chat and you're like, I'm okay. I'm like, yeah, I know. Like I actually wasn't.
You've seen me at that point.
We have both been in that point many a time. So I wasn't concerned for your well-being because I knew you were fine. I just wanted to chat with you because there was some funny things to talk about.
Yes. Well, let's do a shot and then we'll talk about the show. Before we do the shot, if you guys could, please share. We have a little special thing coming up later, but if you guys could please share the live stream, share it with people. Brandon has a little map I think we're going to put up later and a little contest thing. So we'll talk about that in a second. However, this is the show. We decided that it's actually a show about something. It's a lifestyle show, right, Jeremy?
Right.
And it's not necessarily a cigar show. We talk about a bunch of crap and we do shots. So even like for example, today our guest likes to smoke cigars, but is not necessarily in the cigar world. So I think that we're trying to bring that to everybody, that you can smoke cigars and you don't have to necessarily be a part of it, or you can, or it could be something on the side. So we don't really talk wrapper, binder, filler, but we do talk about other stuff.
Well, I think it kind of encompasses everything, right? You might be a mechanic. You love cigars. You might be a, anthropologist, or a paleontologist, and you might like cigars. You might have cigar brands and you like cigars, so it really doesn't matter. It's about like, hey, if you enjoy cigars, this podcast, as you can see, if you have been following it, is rarely about actual tobacco, but because you can Google that. Let's take a shot.
Shot number 1.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, the first one's always the worst one. So we were talking earlier about this contest, and we have some details to work out, but essentially, and for this first contest, and I'm going to do it by the end of the month before we kick off the big one, is if you guys didn't know, I own a coffee company and we roast coffee in Youngstown, Ohio. So from now until the end of the month, whoever shares the show or subscribes to it gets an entry. The more times you share it, the more entries you get. And we'll be announcing winners at the end of the month for a bunch of Youngstown coffee for a bunch of different people. So if you guys could share it, like it, we would really appreciate that. But we'll have more details on the contest as the show goes on, because Brandon's got a bunch of stuff he wants to say, I think. So with that, hold on. Also, there's another rule. When we draw the name of our monthly winner, you have to be in the chat live when we draw to claim your prize, or we will draw another name. We'll DM you for the mailing address and send you free shit. The numbers reset every month. That being said, all the stuff out of the way. Jeremy, will you introduce our special guest for the week? He is a very good friend of yours. I'm just meeting him for the first time, but he's a really cool dude. So let's hang out.
Yeah, man. I would like to welcome to 4 Shots my new friend that I made over COVID. And I've done some stuff with him, and he's been very active, and he is a DJ nationally he's done, and international, and he's the shit, and he's just a really cool guy. And we'd like to welcome DJ Ryan Vandal.
What's up?
What's going on, my friend?
I'm good. Good. Cheers. I poured a double.
Oh,
cheers.
We're starting on a crazy note.
Well, let's welcome you to the show.
Cheers, my friend.
Shot number 2.
So Ryan, we Renee, yeah, shout out to your homie Ryan. We like to start off our show with a segment called Fresh Shit, and this is where we kind of do a go around the room, which means you, Tony, and I, and share something that impressed you this week or stood out, or whether it be a movie, some kind of music, a cigar, or it could be anything. So is there something this week? Do you want it to start with you, or do you want a moment to kind of collect your thoughts?
Let's go around the room. Let's go around the room.
All right. So why don't we start with you, Tony, then?
Okay.
And this is our Fresh Shit segment.
Brandon.
Brandon.
That is one big pile of shit.
I don't feel so good.
The mother rhino is giving birth.
Its wrapper is a piece of the original U.S. Constitution.
Coming out of me like lava.
At the rate you're carrying on, that's a small fortune going up in smoke. Well, I like smoking.
Well, you're really doing it, aren't you? You're shitting in the street.
That's trying every time. So my fresh shit for the week is 2 shameless self plugs. The first one is our El Pavo project shipped today. It's a cigar from Lost and Found under our Give a Fuck program. And the cool thing about El Pavo is that each pack of cigars sold feeds a family of 5 a Thanksgiving dinner. So that's big thanks to you guys for supporting the Give a Fuck program that we have going on. We've fed over 80,000 people and another countless amounts of donations we've made because of you guys. So I really appreciate that. But those are on their way to retailers nationwide today. My second fresh shit is another plug. As I was saying earlier, I have a coffee company called Youngstown Coffee Company, and we've been featured on Touch of Modern, which is a really cool website that I've been watching for a very long time. So you could check us out. We got a lot of really good deals on that. It's live until the 20th of the month, and awesome. You get $10 off your first purchase as a new user, and you save a shitload of money by shopping on Touch of Modern. So thank you to them, and thank you for that. So those are my fresh shits. Jeremy, what do you got?
Those are way cooler than mine. So being in COVID, nothing really extreme or interesting really happened this week, except I went and got my rabbit neutered. And so here's the deal. He's been very aggressive and very affectionate to my feet of late. And so I've been trying to get him in for like 5 months, but because of COVID, like it's been backed up to be able to get like to make an appointment. So I finally got him in there, and they're like, why did you wait so long? Like, because he's now like a year. And I'm like, well, because you guys don't make appointments. Anyhow, long story shorter is that I got him neutered. Everything went cool. He came home, and now he's hornier than ever. And like, he runs and aggressively pins my leg or anything and just goes at it. And then they told me that this may be normal and that eventually it'll subside. But yeah, this week has been like basically me pushing the rabbit off of my foot for an entire week. That's my fresh shit.
I love it. They're both super random.
Yeah.
I have even something completely left field. So I'm a huge, I love cigars, right? Obviously into music, but also I love burgers, right? I'm a big burger fan, like big burger connoisseur. Pat LaFrieda, best burgers, one of them that I love. And I recently tried a lamb burger, and I was not really into, being an actual burger person. I didn't feel like I was gonna like lamb, but I had a lamb burger with some tzatziki sauce, and it was good. So that's one of my random.
So like a gyro burger form, the kind of thing.
Basically, yeah, it was really good, surprisingly.
Actually, you know what? When I was in Chicago, I went to a place, and they were doing like the hero gyros, however you pronounce it, and they were saying they had lamb burgers, and I actually tried it, but it wasn't a patty. It was like, was it also like just the shavings, like as if you were going to get in like a pita type of thing?
It was like a patty, basically.
Oh, okay. But I was super into it because like it was really tasty. I think I had it when I was with Zach, actually. Yeah, and I would have it again.
My buddy brought me, so I'm now live in the country. I have 8 acres. So I have all these deer and wild turkeys and stuff. And my buddy's a big hunter, so he wanted to come out and hunt. And I was like, sure, man, like whenever you want, just come out and hunt. And he brought me, because I don't hunt at all. But he brought me ground deer meat for deer burgers. So I'm excited to try those. And he also brought me like deer steaks, and he brought me swordfish that his dad caught. So shout out to Vince for that. But I'm excited about I was going to make chili out of one ground deer, and then I was going to make burgers out of the other, but I've never had a deer burger. I've had bison.
Yeah.
I've had wild boar burger, which was pretty good. But I don't know, Ryan. I'm like a traditional burger kind of guy, though. I mean, how do you feel about that? Are you just like burger with bacon, cheese, not too over the top crazy?
It's all good. It just really depends on how you cook it. Like in my opinion, I feel like a well done burger is not even a burger. But I like my medium to medium rare, depending on who's cooking it or where I'm getting it.
What's your favorite fast food burger? Because this is a lot of point of contention here. There's a lot of because you're an East Coast guy. The West Coast has this stupid battle between Whataburger and In-N-Out, but I say In-N-Out all
battle
day.
because Whataburger is a glorified Wiener Schnitzel.
Right.
They're pretty good. I mean, I don't think there's a difference. There's a big difference, obviously, between like a fast food burger and like a burger that you get either ground your own meat or like get really good meat. But damn, as far as like an East Coast fast food restaurant, I'd have to say, Five Guys would probably be like.
Five Guys is good. We got that out here now, and it is a good burger.
It's hard to get a quality burger. Longhorn Steakhouse, it's a chain. It's not fast food, but I love them. As far as like a chain goes, I'm a chain restaurant.
To switch the topics from hot dogs,
Jeremy, In-N-Out. No, I'm not even getting into it.
It's that Texas California argument that everybody.
Well,
has.
I actually don't say that In-N-Out is great. I say In-N-Out is great because I can feed a family for $20. That's why it's great. I'm not saying it's the best burger, but Whataburger is like a little bit more expensive and still is shit.
Well, I mean, then there's the White House Crystals argument that everybody gets into, but I think that honestly, one of the best hot dogs I've ever had was in New York, and it was Gray's Papaya. I think they make great hot dogs, and the papaya juice is just to die for.
I just like the carts.
You like what?
The carts selling dogs.
The street meat. Street meat. Yeah.
Yeah. It's delicious and easy and convenient. Simple. I'm down.
Well, let's do a shot and get into the interrogation of DJ Ryan Vandal.
Let's do it.
Shot number 3.
Salute, my friends.
Cheers. Thank you for being on the show, Ryan. Appreciate it.
You guys.
Okay. 3 shots in 22 minutes. Not that bad. We're doing pretty good.
There we go. It's a Tuesday.
So, well, last week, I don't know if you heard, I ended up with my phone in the dryer. So hopefully that doesn't happen this week.
I love that story. Love it.
Yeah. We were talking about doing I have like cameras on the outside of the house, but I was talking about putting a couple. I'm a single guy. I live by myself. So I was thinking about putting up cameras inside the house to record the aftermath of the show so that I could then play it for people because I don't remember what the fuck happened. So then we can play clips of me eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch and putting my phone in the dryer. And then I can actually remember what happened the previous, because I do have a Ring doorbell camera, and there was a bunch of people over here the other day when we were doing the show, and I didn't remember like what time they left or if I pissed them off. So I went back. I went back and looked at all the Ring footage of me saying goodbye to everybody, and it seemed like everybody was fine. So I just called it a good night.
So something real funny, when you and I had that conversation. So I told my daughter, my oldest daughter, who's 18, I'm like, hey, after the show, if I come in and I'm tanked, video it. And she's like, done and done. So then tonight, before I came on, she was like, she's social distance hanging out with this boy tonight, right?
Oh boy.
And so I was like, well, he was supposed to be here at 4, but blah, 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 things happened and he wasn't getting here till 5:30. So she's like, I had said I want to meet him. And she's like, well, you can meet him when I come back. And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, wait a second. No. She's like, Dad, no, please. You can't meet him tonight. And I was like, why? And she's like, you're going to humiliate me when you get done with the show and you're going to start telling him things about me. And I was like, nah. So I have a theory because I told her that she had to introduce me. That's the rules of the house. But I'm going to probably be drunk when that happens. And I have a theory that she's going to get dropped off down the street or something. But I just thought it was comical because, what a night to have to meet a kid, or for a kid to have to meet me, the dad, after this show. So we'll see what happens.
You're gonna have to let us know next week what
I'll tell you what. If it happens, I will try to video my interaction with him.
You gotta do the Den of Thieves scene with 50 Cent.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will certainly try.
Till prom, but that was really funny.
Or the Bad Boys 2 scene where what's his name comes with pulls out the gun and Mike Lowry acts drunk.
He came back on Bad Boys 3 actually.
He did, yeah.
Well, hey guys, I don't mean to interrupt the flow or anything, but I got 2 points I want to make before we get into Ryan's interview. One is that I tried to just low key, Tony, put the comment on the screen for you, but you just totally blew by my Swenson's comment.
Oh, I didn't even Swenson's, yes.
Because there's a North Coast burger, I feel, here, and that has got to be the Swenson's Akron chain. It's very, very small, but it is
Columbus now.
I did not know that. But Jeremy, have you ever had Swenson's when you've come up here?
Have I, Tony?
No.
I always go to the gas station.
He likes Sheets. He likes Sheets a lot.
Sheets?
Yeah, man. I get my cheesy tots. And dude, whenever we go there, I'm drunk. So I get a greasy burger. I get tater tots with cheese on it. And like a cherry Coke, and I buy a candy, and I'm good.
Oh my gosh!
Hopefully the candy doesn't get in the bed, which we could talk about that story later when Jeremy and I shit the bed. I don't know if we've told that story on air yet.
We did
3 times. I think it'd be the 3rd time we told that story. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is that we want to do the shoot your shot segment tonight, which is where we bring somebody on from the chat room, from the comments, into the show for like the last 10 minutes to hang out with the guys, ask them any questions you want. So as we have a question here about cigars, we could get to that at the shoot your shot segment. If you're interested and you want to jump on the show, we can send you a link, and from your own phone or laptop, you can jump on with us. We'd love to have you. Just say so in the comments, and then we'll reach out to you from there. All right, guys, let's get into the interview.
Yeah. So Ryan, every week we kind of start with our guest and kind of ask, like, so we have a 2-parter for you. Like, number one, what was the thing about that got you into like the lifestyles of premium cigars, premium liquors, like that craft industry? And then our 2-parter is like, can you parlay that into DJing? Is it kind of the same experience where you had like an aha moment, like you smoked a cigar, you heard a song, or you saw DJ live and you were like, I'm doing this now, or this is something I'm going to get into?
Yeah, 100%. Actually, thankfully, because of the DJing, I didn't drink till I was 21. Like, didn't have my first drink till I was 21, surprisingly. And now I'm making up for it, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it was funny because I'll be DJing in clubs and seeing the aftermath of like what happens, whether it's crazy fights or people vomiting and throwing up on the side of the road or outside the club and whatnot. So I kind of like tried to stay away from it for a while because I saw the negative effects of it. And then I was at a family party, and I got like twisted tea, and I had like one of them, and I was like, oh shit, I'm banged up off like twisted tea. And then eventually I got into like, tequila and things that I love now. As far as cigars go, it started with something that was like low grade as well. I started like smoking like the Dutch Masters, thinking those were actually cigars. And I like liked it. And then I got put onto it. And shouts to Brian, my uncle. He put me on. He's with Legion, and yeah, he put me on to a bunch of cigars. I've been smoking for a while.
So Brian was our first guest. It was funny. I don't know if you've heard the story or not, but I was on the road with Zach. Jeremy was at home, I think, during this.
Right where I'm at.
Yeah. And we had Brian on because he's a very good friend of ours. If you guys have never smoked Illusione cigars, you should have yesterday. But Brian's a very good friend of ours, and he was on a chartered. His buddy's a pilot. He was on like a small plane flying from Reno to like Northern California, I think, or something.
No,
or
it was
Northern
like
Nevada,
Oklahoma or something.
It was somewhere weird. They were going to do some like poker or something, I think. But he was doing the interview from the plane. And
He would do that.
And it just cut out all of a sudden. We were like, oh great, we're starting the show. We already like killed this guy because it was like he's like, I'm on this plane, and then it just blanked out, and we were laughing about that. But yeah, Brian is homie.
Hey, Maisha.
So anyway, let me get back to our thing here. Well, I'll just spitball this one. So I don't know if you knew this, Ryan, but over COVID and for the past like year or so, I have wanted to pick up the art of DJing. So I've been kind of a basement DJ. I have a little DDJ SX3 that I've been playing around with. But I was doing it in my basement for a while, and I actually DJ'd Brandon's wedding. I was the first time I did anything in public, but I'm in like house, kind of like down tempo, new disco kind of thing. Yeah. But the thing that a lot of people don't understand, and what I try to explain to them, is they think that a lot of DJs, and I know that I've seen a lot of videos with a DJ. He's from New York. I can't remember his name offhand, but he's a big traditionalist in that he doesn't do sets beforehand or anything like that. He does them all live. But there's a lot of people that think it's just a lot of button pushing, and that you just kind of like set up and press the play button, and your whole job is to kind of do this. So, which I know is completely untrue, but I would like you to kind of expound on that and kind of break, the barrier there to let people on the show know that there's a lot more into it, and there's a certain, like, you have to be a musician, and you have to be technologically savvy, and you have to understand music to actually do this. So if you can touch on that, I would like that.
Yeah, 100%. So you're right. I mean, there definitely are guys that have not even like a set list. I mean, a lot of DJs do that, like a little bit of a prep beforehand before going out there, depending whether it's a club or whether it's a wedding or whatnot. And you got to think about it. Some people that travel, they're traveling. Well, I guess when they're traveling, some of them can travel 200 days out of the year. So of course they're going to have some type of set routine. But and then there are people that have pre-recorded sets, like the whole hands in the air, like some EDM guys. I don't know for sure, but that is a thing that people do. People do that. Me, for example, I like to curate my set depending on where I'm DJing. I'm what we call an open format DJ, so anything from 60s all the way to new music that's out now, and anything in between: hip hop, rock, reggae, house.
Well, that's a big part of DJing, right? Is understanding who you're playing to and understanding who's like listening to you and vibing your music, right? So volume control and
yeah.
Well, that kind of reminds me, because like I play music, right? And sometimes you go into a room, a venue, and like you have to kind of like, I would imagine it's the same for you, that you really have to read the room. And for like the bands, like I read who we're playing with, because that kind of dictates like what our crowd's going to be like. If we're playing with bands that are way heavier than us, then we're going to go balls to the wall that night. I'm going to ramp it up heavier and bigger than what it would normally be, because that audience is expecting that, right? And then you go to, I mean, we don't do coffee shops, but take that mindset. I obviously wouldn't do the in-your-face, like, wall of sound for that, because you would want to be more in line with your audience. And what I was going to ask on that is, so even if you have kind of a little bit of a preset in your mind as far as the direction you might go, if the evening starts turning a different direction, do you go with the flow? Like how do you determine what's going to come next?
So I have a funny story. I can't say who it was, but it was a really, really, really big telephone company, or I guess mobile company, cell phone company. This was back around 2011 or 12. I was DJing their big conference that turned into being an actual party. So I get went to Boston. I do this event. Now I'm thinking, it's a corporate event, right? So they want your typical traditional corporate music. That obviously did not happen.
Is that like Black Eyed Peas? Like it's gonna be a good night on repeat.
Well, not when I'm DJing, but yeah, typically that's what people, anything that's like, mainstream people really like. So I was thinking more of the mainstream thing, maybe like some cocktail stuff in the beginning, because it wasn't really like a party atmosphere. Anyway, long story short, we started playing crazy old school hip hop. Some like Uncle Luke was dropped in there. A couple of crazy like rap and I guess ratchet twerk songs, and some people got fired. Some people got fired that night. Big people got fired.
That's awesome.
I wish I had it, but yeah, it was nuts. So yeah, going back to the question, I mean, it really depends on. I can go from left to right when I'm DJing. Anyone can pick up a laptop and think that they're a DJ, but I think when it comes to actually doing it, it takes experience, right, to read the room. To know what people are gonna like.
Well, and not only that, but like, making a song flow into the next, like curating something that's like, and anticipating while you're in the middle of something, what's going to come next and how you're going to get there. Like that to me is like a super fascinating part of DJing, because it's like you basically have one, whether it be a 30-minute thing, and it's like no song is 30 minutes long. So it's curating this to like continue the flow and to continue the momentum, or to bring it down or up. And like, that is like a crazy skill set, that like know in your head and have such a repertoire. Even though you might be looking at a laptop, you're figuring out, what am I going to play next? What would go into this? And how do I want to help? Like, how do I want to control the room? You know what I mean? And like that to me is a super fascinating part and like of DJing, because it's just like the amount of music that you have to be able to like pull from at a moment's notice, depending upon your environment. Like what's kind of some of the stuff that like when you hear a song on the radio or you're listening to a tune, is it like you hear it and you're like, oh, I can use that in something? Like I hear how I could play that into something, or like, does it affect the way you listen to music?
Yeah, I mean, I think the same as like, same as like going, I can't just go to an event, for example, and not critique the DJ, like in a way, just like you guys can't smoke a cigar and say, oh, this is it's a bad cigar or a good cigar automatically. So I can hear a song on the radio and say, yeah, I can totally put this in. I mean, it really boils down to the key of the song, the beats per minute of the song, and that's kind of how I mash it. But that's like the math of it. But like I said before, you need to know. I mean, like if you're doing a wedding, for example, right? You need to make obviously the bride and groom happy. You need to make grandma happy and the parents and maybe the kids and things like that. So yeah, it takes a lot of time, and I don't know. I play shit completely like open format, completely randomly. I could play like an Elvis record into a Migos record, and then Migos into like a EDM type of trap or dubstep record, and make it sound, basically super smooth. So
do you have do you ever just like listen to, like when you are listening to just music? Yeah, Will, like the BPMs, absolutely, right? If it's at 140, you're not going to pump something that's at 70.
Well,
you can.
You can.
Right. You could slow it. You could
double it, basically. So a 70 times 2, right, is 140. So you can do that. That's what you could do.
So like when he was talking about having an Elvis record and like an EDM record, so like you have like Elvis or something that's at a lower BPM, if you can match it with like an electronic music track that's like up in the 130s or 135. Same with rap, because rap, like Biggie's usually at like 75 or 80 BPMs, or like right around there. So you could kind of, and that's the skill of it, is being able to see that and say, okay, so this Biggie track's at 70 RPMs at 70 BPMs, and this Marshmallow track, just for sake of whatever, is at 140. I can blend those together, take out Biggie, bring in Marshmallow, but have like that, like a couple of samples from that Biggie song that'll fit into that BPM portfolio.
Of course.
let's do a shot unless Jeremy has something else.
No, let's take a shot, and then I have another question.
Yep.
Shot number 4.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers. I'm waiting because I was like,
oh, that was a big one.
Yeah. So, Ryan, obviously, because of what you do, I think there's a little bit of similarity that I'd like to like draw on, but then kind of like ask a question. So, obviously, your job is with the public, right? It's dealing with people, and they're in a party atmosphere. Very much like when Tony and I do events for the cigars, it's kind of a party, right? And so we're going in there to kind of make it an experience and a liveliness, but it also creates for a very kind of unique job because it's not typical 9 to 5 hours, right? So like you essentially are kind of forced in some way because of the industry, like to be a night owl, right? To like, and with that,
I mean, our job is kind of like you were saying, our job is to kind of wait on people, or I hate to say service people because that's weird, but our job is to kind of service people when they are done working. So our job picks up when their jobs are done. So go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of where I'm going with that. Go
so
ahead, Jeremy.
how has it been? I mean, this actually kind of parlays into another thing too, but how has it been being like just having kind of a lifestyle that's based around your kind of, 10 a.m. to 4 a.m., whatever it might be? That's like your work hours, like you're almost like a graveyard shift type thing. And then with like just having a regular life. And then the follow-up to that is obviously we hit COVID, which is like flatlined everything. And how do you continue to stay connected? And I mean, I know some of the things you do, but I mean, if you could share some of the ways that you still kind of stay in the forefront and remain relevant and do what you love doing, despite the fact that the clubs are kind of gone at the moment.
Right. So exactly. So the first question, I mean, I think it's all like a balance, right? So I have Ryan Vandal. That's my DJ brand, basically. Nightclubs, travels, some festivals, do my original music. And that's normally the hours of, like you said, 10 p.m. to 4 or 5 a.m., maybe 7 a.m., depending on, who you're with or who's at the club or if you go out after. And then I also own an event production company called Work in the Mix Entertainment. So that's like a actual 9 to 5, if you will, besides when we're actually DJing. And I have a daughter on top of that. So
you don't sleep.
I mean, well, with I normally no. No, I go home at 6 in the morning. She's up at 7:30, and it's like here I am. But with COVID, I think it actually helped me basically think more of like how I can manage certain things time-wise and how I can make things work. But the nightclub things are always going to be that nightlife stuff. It's just waking up early, and shouts to the good team that I have on my events and my team in general. They make things really work for me. So if I don't have to be up extremely early after coming back from DJing, they can handle all the emails and things like that. But I've grown a pretty big following on Instagram recently. Throughout this whole COVID, I was doing Instagram lives pretty steadily, and that was fun. Shouts to my good friend DJ Sus1. I was quarantining with him, and he put me on his show, and I got a bunch of his fans as well as my fans, so it worked out pretty well. It's weird though, because I'm used to DJing in front of all these people and seeing their reactions, right? And now I was just doing Instagram. Then I started these Zoom parties. So I have all these fans, and people are coming to see me and supporting me every night. And then I started doing the Zoom parties, and I actually can see all these people, dancing and hanging out and seeing their faces. That I thought was actually pretty cool. So
that's super funny. Cool.
Yeah, it's actually why I started doing Zooms on Fridays. It's because I was doing, Monday through Friday for like 6 months straight. I was doing the coffee and cigars in the morning.
Yeah.
And it was like just me talking at a screen in, like why it took 6 months for me to move to the other platform, I have no idea. Retardation, whatever it is with me. But like then when I started doing Zooms where people could join us, it became so much more fun because it's interactive and I get to like see the people that like are smoking and are already present there, but now we get to actually converse, you know, and it's more personal, and it feels like even though we're not sitting in the same room, it feels like we're all in the same room. Like just as right now, you know, Tony's in Ohio, I'm in California, and you're in New York right now, or where are you at now?
Right now I'm in New York, yeah.
Right. So like, and I don't know, it's been kind of cool. Like even when you've done some of your lives and I jump on and I get to like dance for a little bit and like just have fun and do a shot with you, it like I feel like I'm at a party, even though I'm sitting in my garage by myself. You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of a cool experience and something that ended up coming out of kind of the COVID thing, you know? And I think that, I don't know if you agree, but I think those things will actually remain to some degree there, because it's a way for people to be a part of something without like, hey, I can't get to New York, but I love how he DJs. I love his mixes, and I can join in on this thing, you know, from Nebraska or Arizona, wherever you're at. And I think that's a super cool thing, that it like changes the reach from whoever's there to worldwide. You just have to click on.
I think that's what people in any industry have to really realize. Like, I mean, you know, obviously take DJing, for example. When you're DJing, like I said, you can't see anybody. You don't know who many, I mean, you know how many people are on, but you can't really see them. So you got to kind of create that like vision of, I know when I worked at a radio station in college, at least, they had a picture, like literally they printed it and it had a huge like festival, right? So when the DJs are DJing on the radio, on an FM station, you actually see, like, imagine, okay, there's 250,000 people listening. But then there's a little inspiration, so they see that and they're like, okay, well, yeah, great. It really, like you say, it's great to have that community and build that. And I think building your own fan base and actually being able to see that and have that actually flourish is amazing.
I have two really funny mini stories to add to that, and then a question to add on top of it. So when I was a kid, my grandfather was a firefighter, and he was the captain of the fire department. And I used to think, now I'm talking, I was like 5 years old. He would talk on the CB radio, and I used to think that he was actually inside the CB radio. Like I didn't understand the concept of like him talking into like a kind of thing. Right. And I also thought that on the radio, that every single song that was played on the radio, the entire band was in the studio playing.
While you heard it.
But yeah. So it'd be like Rolling Stones, and I'd be like, oh, the Rolling Stones are on. And it would be like the 4-minute song. And then I thought like the Doors were like waiting there, and then they like came in and set up all their stuff and like played the song on the radio.
I thought the same thing, to be honest, to an extent. I really did. Like anytime I heard things on the radio, I'm like, okay, like how are they doing this? And
I think I honestly did too. I think that's actually a common thing. Like I remember hearing like the Platters and stuff like that, and not knowing that these guys were long since deceased. Like you'd hear it because my dad was a big like classic rock or oldies, but at that point it was like 50s and stuff when I was growing up, that, you know, and you'd hear it and I'd think like, wow, like I want to go see these guys, like listen how they play. It's so cool. I didn't understand that, like, you know, music could have been recorded 20 years ago and it's playing live right now. Like it was, I think it's actually a common thing. Like that, like you think that they're actually there playing at the radio.
Well, now they're probably going to be more often than not. I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about. That's kind of the direction it's going. Before we do a shot, I have a couple questions. Like Joe.
Okay, I have a question. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe has a good question that I was actually going to like add on to. That was part of the question that I had before. So thank you, Joe. So my question is what's your equipment list currently? And do you vary it from show to show? And my other question, I can't remember, so fuck it. So what what do you usually use when you're live, and do you vary it from show to show?
So I basically use shouts to Joe for the question. I do use a mix of old school and new school. So I'm using Technique 1210, 1200s with Serato and a Serato based mixer. So I'm still, you still have to know how to scratch, how to use actual turntables. I have done like a competition.
Serato's a program for those who don't know. It's a DJ program. That's what I use for my.
Yeah, it basically converts. You have like a control vinyl that converts the wave control format into the basic format that your computer can read, so that you basically have, I guess, anywhere how many songs you have on your laptop, instead of carrying all these crates or CDs, you have that at your disposal. That's great because you're able to do that. So I like the old old school and new school, blend that together.
Let's do a shot.
Do it.
Shot number 5.
Cheers, boys.
Salute.
Cody, I hate you for this.
Brandon, Ryan, do you have a when you're just listening, can you separate yourself from like looking at music and like deconstructing it and just listen for pleasure? And if so, what are some of the things you like to just like chill to, stylistically wise, and like?
So yeah, I totally could. I mean, like let's take New York for example. New York is a very, I'd say, as far as the clubs go, it's either straight EDM, house music, or it's like straight hip hop. Whether it's a mix between old school and new school and hip hop trap. So granted, I was when I'm out playing, I'm normally playing anytime. Maybe it could be 2 times a week, could be 5 times a week, depending on the week and the month. But I'm not listening to the stuff that I'm playing, basically. And that's like my way of relaxing, I guess. Like whether I'm in the car or just chilling or like smoking a cigar, things like that. So let's see. Man, I like Michael Bublé, Bob Marley, Charlie Puth. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of people. That's not really, and I play it too when I can, but
yeah,
stuff I won't be able to play at a club or an event. Some stuff.
Well, it's interesting. Go ahead, Tony.
I remembered my second part of that question. So I've noticed. Sorry, Jeremy.
No,
it just popped in there, and it's going to go away real soon. I just noticed that a lot of producers and DJs that I listen to are, very down tempo, very chill, very kind of like housey kind of things. And I noticed that they are producing a lot more tracks, like whether it's original or remix tracks during COVID. And I'm just wondering from your perspective, like, have you been doing like a lot more like, okay, I'm going to do maybe like a SoundCloud pre-recorded mix and let everybody like kind of download that and consume it rather than doing a lot more live stuff? Because I've noticed like my favorite DJ, her name's Noron Pure. You probably know who I'm talking about, but she does a podcast every week, but she's been coming out with a lot more original tracks and a lot more original remixes. And I was wondering from you whether or not that was something that you've been doing like in whatever spare time you have, if you're doing like some remixes or some original stuff in the wake of like having a busy travel live schedule.
Yes, I mean, in a good way. I mean, the positive thing that came out of COVID, obviously, like I said before, is finding, having your own audience and people that want to listen to you. And I definitely have some dedicated fans for sure, people that show up to the majority of the stuff. But I do say, like, I'm making my original music. I'm coming out with an EP. So there's been I guess we'll touch on it in a little bit of stuff that I've been working on. But for the most part, you have a certain type of audience. Sometimes people like to hear certain things. So what I'm what I like to do and what I'm actually doing is making a curated night, basically, for certain types of music genres, music selections, because like I said, I'm an open format DJ, so I can play anything. I can play house, hip hop, rock, EDM in the same hour, whether it's an Instagram set or a Zoom, or I'm going to be on Twitch in the next week or so and start that up, a weekly Twitch DJ session. So it just really depends. I mean, I do have some mixes out there, but I think people do harshly judge me from one mix that they heard. And that's the hard thing about being an open format DJ, because they, oh, well, we heard this mix and it's like hip hop and a lot of like EDM and trap, but then I can also play something completely different. So I think having people know kind of what I can play, maybe doing like a couple of nights a week where there's like different genres, I think that would help. But it is tough to do it, to try to make something up every night if you're doing, I was on live once, I think it was like once a week. Every night, 5 days a week, maybe sometimes 7. And try to think of like how to make this different and original can obviously get tough. That's why I need to keep it genre based, if that makes sense.
One of the things I think is like cool with that is it was only really, I would say, over the past couple of years that I started even noticing like what DJing is about, because I've never been like really a part of the club realm. I was always like, dive bar, that whole thing. So it's a different kind of like environment.
To play for them, I'll be honest. They are the best to play for. They really
but what I noticed is like you hear of this DJ X, right? I'm just using whoever this person is. And you start hearing influences, like not necessarily by just what they play, but how they transition to songs. And all of a sudden you're like, wait, DJs have styles just like bands do. Yeah. And it was this like eye-opening thing to me, because I was like, it was so bizarre, because it's such a different world, but it's exactly the same at the same, like, simultaneously, like that, like I play a certain genre of music and right, like, and a certain crowd will respond to that. What you have the freedom, which I think is super cool, is you can do it within your style, but you can go to any genre and really open it up and cater. Like I can never cater to a country western crowd. I can't. Right. It's not who I am. I can play like some southerny licks that they might like for a few seconds, but like songs are pre-written, and even if you improvise some, we aren't going to take it from here to the other end of the spectrum because some dude wants to hear, some whatever, some Hank Williams in there, even though I love it.
I mean, the requests get crazy,
I imagine, because you get everything under the sun.
You too, the band, right? Yeah.
And like we are limited because I have to know how to play that, right? I'm not so good that I can just pick up my guitar and play anything under the sun. Someone says, hey, will you start playing some Hendrix or some like Clapton? I'm like, no, I can't, because like, but the cool thing, if someone says that to you, is you have the ability to like turn it into whatever you want to turn it into. And like that world is so fascinating to me, because it's like the musician that knows how to play every single instrument, and can just on a snap of a beat change it to like from reggae to country to hip hop to deep south like rap to like and that's something that I find super fascinating about what you do, is that it's like it's not about a genre, it's about a feeling, and creating that. And that's a super unique experience, like to be able to enjoy that and even be able to tell, like kind of what I was saying stylistically, is you start noticing ways certain DJs do their transitions or the songs they bring in, and it kind of becomes them. You know what I mean? Like they have their own sound, even when they're using other people's sounds.
Correct.
And so kudos to you. I think it's amazing. And I got to see Tony DJ for the very first time.
Yeah, you did at the Halloween party.
Wish I was there.
Watch him at his store, like break it down, because like it was the first time I got to kind of see. Yeah, I see the artistry in cigars, and I see the artistry in the coffee he makes. But it was cool to see how his mind works on the spot. You got to react. You have to do something. You got to take us somewhere. What are you going to do? You know, and it was fun to like kind of take that journey with him. Like, where's Tony going to take us tonight? You know, and in the same way, if I was sitting and you were DJing, I'd be like, where's Ryan taking us tonight? Because it's his journey, and he's taking us along for it.
Well, correct. I love all that. I think that it's probably like a 90% the crowd and a 10% me, or maybe 95 them and 5% me. Joe asked a bunch of great questions. He said something about how do you feel about a 50-year-old in a club. Going back to what you just said, I mean, if you can, I guess I just have the experience of like kind of knowing how to fit things in where they fit in, and to the point when I do some wedding. I mean, people hire me for events because I have a multi-faceted kind of view when it comes to music, right? Like I don't just play one specific thing. But if you're playing a certain record for a grandma or for someone else, or whether it's a wedding or an auto request, like you said, you can do it, and then you can fit it in, and then drop it out. Get the good parts of the song, and then just get the chorus, or maybe start with the break at the end of the song, do the chorus, and then move on out to something else in BPM that like makes sense. And there's a struggle with that because some people are like, oh man, what the fuck? You just played 30 seconds of my song. I said, well, you wanted the song. No one else really wanted it. But you try to please everybody, and honestly, you never can. But at least in my experience, what I've been doing since I was 10, it works to a point where like you try to please as many people as you can to show what you can do music-wise,
So some of these people don't know. Oh, well, no, but like like Ryan, you and I have had conversations about this before, but it's like once we get over this hump of like, the pandemic and like life kind of finds whatever normalcy it is, you will see us doing some shit together. Like, La Barba parties, and he's going to be pumping it, and we're going to make it blast, and we're going to go to 7 a.m. Yeah, and like, I can't wait for that time.
Right. Every party's different. I mean, I've done a 20-person dinner event, and then I've done a 7,000 to 10,000 person event. It really just depends, and I guess you have to be prepared for that. You're never really fully prepared because you don't know what's going to happen. But if you do your research and you try to make everybody happy and you want to take people on a journey, 10 p.m. at a club, people want to grab some drinks, or at a bar, they want to grab drinks, hang out. You should be bumping the craziest music. You have to.
Yeah, you don't want to trap music at cocktail hour.
Right. Well, depending on the party, you'd be surprised. Well, but yeah. Yeah.
Let's do a shot for that.
Yeah.
Shot number 6.
Everybody's mad because I'm not fall down drunk this week, but I ate a lot. I took a nap.
You took care of yourself. So, Ryan, do you ever have nights like when I play live? Right, it's a living thing. Like, right, music is being performed, and so it's never duplicated. So, do you have nights where you're like, "Fuck yeah," and other nights where you're like, "Oh, that was shit"? Because I do. But does the same thing happen for the way you perceive it to be? Because a lot of times my perception is very different from what the crowd is, right?
That's the thing, and I think that going back to what we talked about before, touching on like anyone can make a cigar, anyone can make tequila, anyone can be a DJ or a photographer or whatever. It's only the person's actual experience with that certain thing that they know how good something is. Like I said, you guys can taste cigars, and everyone's like, "Oh, the cigars are shit." I mean, people that aren't obviously cigar connoisseurs, they just smoke it. You're like, "What the fuck is this shit?" So like, it really the same with music. So it really depends on the taste of things. Like I said, you can't please everybody, so you just try to just coast by and do your thing and make everyone have a good time and make it memorable. I like to play songs that when I play a song, I want both of you to be like, oh shit, I was in middle school when this came out, or this was a song that I got married to, or this was when I had my first breakup or my first love. You know what I mean? I want it to be more of an experience, taking you back. And some people, you know, they can't do that in certain clubs, you know?
It's funny, auditory things, you know, for me, I went to school for wine, and like palate and nose and all those things. They all bring back like a nostalgia. Right? So I think music does the same thing on an auditory level, where you're like remembering a lot of stuff based on things that you've heard in the past. And I think that brings back like a lot of energy and a lot of good times for a lot of people. It's just hard to, I guess, because there's a lot of parallels with us in the cigar business at the end of the day. So we, like, when we go out and do events and do a lot of stuff, our job is to kind of bring that nostalgia back to people. And I think that that's your job as well. And it's very respectful. And I think that it's hard to kind of pinpoint that nostalgia for people. But once they hear it, whether or not it's a chord or a progression or even a song, you know, it brings back that memory of something that they've had in the past. And I think that's very cool.
Hell yeah. I mean, I remember the first song I made out to. And the only reason I remember it, the song, is because it was the first time I was making out. But forever now, that song, when it comes on, I remember the first time, like, you know, I won't get into details, but I mean, the first time, like, making out, you know, like, and that's something that's why I love music. That's why, like, and the fact that you go over a span of, I mean, in a night that you DJ, like, how many songs like end up getting sampled, you know, is there an average? Like, is it 50 songs, 25? Like, I mean, how do you even?
Yeah, so I think it depends obviously on the crowd and where I'm playing. I mean, the one thing that I do say is New York nightlife specifically. I mean, it's great. I've played at some really, I mean, I guess the high end to the high end spots, exclusive spots you can ever play, at least in New York City, right? And the spots are phenomenal and they're great. But you know, there's some type of the crowd, right? When it comes to the DJ's perspective, it's like, you know, some people don't want to hear. I'll play anything from, I'll play Sum 41 and Fall Out Boy and I mean, you name it, any type of genre, even old school stuff, and people, like, they love it. But then some people are like, well, we just want to hear the new shit, the new Drake, the new whatever, and it's like, it's cool. And there's people that I can obviously just play a whole new rap set. But in my opinion, I think the good thing about COVID is that the only good thing about COVID, in terms of DJ's position, is like, it's cool because you get to play what you want, and there's no one telling you what to do. There's no manager, no club owner, no promoter, whatever. And the people that like your music or like your cigars or like wine or whatever it might be will stick with you because there's no type of person telling you, moderator, you know, someone telling you exactly what to do.
Yeah, like, it's the authentic. They like what you do, Ryan, or they like what we do, and so it's an authentic fan or supporter, whatever you want to call it. Right. That's true. I haven't thought about it that way, but I think that that's very true. Like, it just gives an element of, like, who are the true fans that are, like, you know, like, because you're right, like, you have to play to the crowd, and if you're at a wedding versus a corporate event versus a club, those are three different feels, right? And you're going to play to that audience. And, like, but when you just get to do what you do uninhibited, you get those people that are genuine, like, hell yeah, I'm down with this. I mean, I thought it was super cool when you had me on your live and, like, you mixed in, like, my band, and it's like, no one knows my band. You know what I mean? Like, we're not.
Yeah, we were rocking to it though. They loved it.
But we were having fun, and you, like, mixed it in and out, and I was like, that's super cool, man. Like he took something I did and made it his own into this thing, and like I don't know, it's a very cool world that I'm kind of learning about and being exposed to.
I think that people have to understand. Sorry, tell me you were going to say something.
No, go ahead.
I feel like people have to understand, like especially in the digital and the internet, 2020 basically, or almost 2021. That everyone thinks that this is like you start from a small town, you're gonna end up in a small town. With the internet, that shit is fucking forgotten. You can play, like you guys were saying with the map, right? You can play certain songs. I love doing weddings because there's so many different people at weddings and even nightclubs, right? People, even on the lives, I had people from Germany and the whole UK and different people. And I think it's cool because people can't limit themselves. Like just like with you guys have people from all over the place. So I think people shouldn't limit themselves to like, oh, this is like where we live. Listen to us. I think it's just knowing that we've got the whole fucking world, and the right people like the right things, and that's kind of how it is. For sure.
That's dope.
So last question, and then because we're running out of time here. So I have one last question for you to think about while we do a shot.
Cool.
And then we're going to have somebody come on and ask you some questions if you still have time.
Yeah.
But what is the one song that you have played that everybody is like, fuck no? Because I feel like as a DJ, you have, that moment where you have to, where you've played a track and you have to completely cut it. Like just like rip down the volume and say, fuck it, I fucked up, and start over again.
Yeah.
But what's the one track you've played where everybody, like everybody's hyped, you have the whole audience like going, and then you play a track and then everybody's like, oh, time for a drink at the bar. And then you're like, boom, volume down, like just pound the pad for your new cue. Like, what's that one song that happened? If you can think about it, let's do a shot.
Yeah, no, I got it.
So, you got it already.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. So I still play it because I like it, and I think that the majority, maybe 50% or maybe 30% actually like it. The song "1,000 Miles."
Katy Perry,
or even
like bum 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 bum. I would walk 5,000. Yeah, that song.
And then there's that song too. That's from I think it might be from White Chips. Yeah, White Chips. Yeah. So and I like playing things because, like I said, I like people to get fucking hyped and be like, oh shit, that's the song from White Chips. But you're right. There's that song and a couple other songs I play. Like I know people don't like fuck with it, but I play it anyway. And then I'll mix it into like a really dope song after that, and then or tone play it. So the keys match up, and then they're like, "Oh shit!"
And then you see people's heads. That's what I think is so cool. You see people's heads turn, like they're going to the bar, and you're like,
"They're like,
ding, ding," and they're like,
"Calling me back."
Yeah,
whoop, whoop.
Yeah, that's good. It's funny we can do music. Let's do a shot.
Let's do a shot.
Yo, power to the people.
Shot number 7.
Will Marxist makes his debut.
What's the actual? What was the most shots you guys taken so far on this?
I think 15.
Okay, so I was like, I didn't know. I wanted to
12. I'm getting 12 from Brandon. 15 off air total.
Many. Ryan, whatever. Okay, so our very first night, I'll just rephrase this super quickly, and then we can bring on the guest or whatever we're doing, the shoot your shot. But the very first night, I haven't been drinking heavy over COVID. I've actually greatly diminished my drinking. So it's not like riding a bike. And our first night, I ended up passed out on my floor, and my 7-year-old thought I had COVID because I ended up puking up the rum and it was red. And she thought I was puking blood. And she thought I was dying because I was so hammered. So our very first episode, I was like, shake this off. I got to grow these wings back because like this, and then we had to like get some self-control. But yeah, we have found most of our shows are like this. We feel good. We're having a good time. But every once in a while, it just goes off the rails. And like the fact that last week we had a guest on who normally doesn't drink, and he decided to get down into his like old days. We went down that road with him, and that's where blackout happened for Tony and I. And so we try to not let it go to that level. Most of the time, it's more like this. Like we're feeling good.
I'm happy with rocking tonight. 7 shots, good. Maybe we take 8 before the end of the night. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, we do have somebody on for our Shoot Your Shot segment. Her name is Renee Miller. We're going to play the bumper. And then, Renee, when we bring you on, why don't you just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and then you can join in and ask your questions.
Could you recommend anything for the end of the night?
I'm going to missile lock.
Let's count them down. Something big. Bold.
I got him locked.
An Italian classic.
Shoot your shot.
Hello, Renee. How are you?
Hey, hello, Renee. Up? Welcome.
Yo. What up, Ryan? My name's Renee Miller. I'm from South Walsburg, New York, and I'm a huge fan of Mr. Ryan.
Number one fan.
Number one fan. Like I said, I have a couple of questions to ask you. Ryan, do you have any upcoming gigs during this pandemic at this time? And I know you're coming out with a new documentary. Was wondering when will it be released so I could catch it?
Cool. So, yeah, as far as the gigs, I was actually touring prior to this. I was on a boat with around 3,000 people prior to COVID, and then that got shut down. So that was something that I was going to be on for at least a month. And then I had a lot of gigs that kind of got postponed to 2021 and 22 and even 23. As far as the documentary, I was trying super hard to get the teaser out by tonight, but it will be out by, I'd say, if not tomorrow, the next day. And the documentary is cool. It's just kind of showing people how I was a kid and my love for music and entertaining people, and how that kind of transpired from my old DJ name to my current DJ name and what I do now.
Ryan, where can we find the documentary and you, and give us all your socials while you're talking?
Cool, yeah. So DJ Ryan Vandal on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and DJRyanVandal.com. I'm starting a whole YouTube docu-series, probably a 5-6 part series. And it's more really basically to get people to, do what they love and never stop dreaming and just do it. There's no better time to do it than now.
And Ryan, when you get your documentary, when you get a preview or something, like send it to us, because we will promote it on our ends as well for you, because like that's what this whole thing is about, is like bringing people on, letting them do their thing, telling the world who they are, and then like letting us like be a part of, it's we're all in this together. You know what I mean? It's like regardless of industries, I think everything kind of circles back to relationships, and it's like we support you, man. Like we're friends, and that's why we want to like, hey man, what's good for you is good for the world, man. You got fans like Renee, and that's badass. And she joined us tonight, and like that's rad, So we want to be a part of promoting you in any kind of way that we can, because like, that's why we're doing the show. That's why we have guests on, not to like compliment us, but so that we can find out and promote them. So, like when you get something together, a trailer or whatever it might be, or a release date, hit me with that info so we can promote you on that, man.
100%. So the first episode will be on my birthday, February 21st, as well as the single. But I'm gonna have a trailer out. I guess the next day or 2 days. I'll definitely shoot that to you guys. And thank you guys again so much. Jeremy, thank you. Tony, thank you. Renee, love you.
Always.
Hey, Ryan, love you too, and wanted to say it's actually good to see you after getting out the hospital, man. It's a pleasure and an honor to see you this evening.
Of course. I hope you stay well.
Oh, I'm trying to stay well. And may I say to you guys, thank you for having me on your show and let me ask Ryan questions. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
Anytime, Renee. Do you have anything else? You want to ask anything else?
Just a quick question to ask you, Ryan.
She's back.
Quick question. Do you are you looking for like any type of people to come on or do like any type of freestyles? Because I kind of freestyle and working on some freestyles.
Let's make something happen. Send me something over.
All right, I got you.
Sure. Yeah, Renee's the best. Shouts to Renee. Shouts to
Renee, if you freestyle, so hey, since you've been with us, you've seen that we do bumpers in between shots. If you got something you want to make, we will use it for a bumper because, like, why not? It'd be rad. So if you're willing to throw something down that's like a 10-second thing for us, we will put you on our show indefinitely when we get to that shot count.
Every week.
Got you.
Just email us, Renee.
Should we do it? Should we do a shot with Renee?
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Yo, I'm sorry, but for right now with the surgery that I had, I'm kind of like taking it easy with the drinking for now, but
we're doing a shot for you, hon.
We'll take one for you.
This is for Renee.
Here we go.
To Renee.
To Renee. Thanks for coming on.
Shot number 8.
Thank you, Renee. That was awesome. Ryan, it's been an awesome time having you on the show. Guys, Jeremy, why don't you tell us where people can find you during the week when you're not on 4 Shots?
Right. So you can go to the California Hillbilly on Instagram, the California Hillbilly. Friday mornings, we moved it to Fridays. We do a live Zoom. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see. And like we just get together 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we smoke. You hang out for 10 minutes, hang out for an hour and a half. We just it's just community, man. We just hang out and smoke. So that's where you can find me.
Love that.
Awesome. Tony, last week I had to tell everybody your socials for you. Where can people find you?
What happened to me last night? Last week? I don't even know.
Dude,
did I just get up and walk away?
No.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, you were really tiny in the screen where only the top of your head was basically showing.
And the banana thing, I don't remember the banana thing or Matt showing his penis thing. I don't remember any of that. So.
That is one of the funniest things. When I sent Tony and Jeremy the highlights little video that we do on the weekend, Tony was like, I don't remember any of this. That was amazing. That was an amazing moment. But where can people find you?
It's at Bellotto, at La Barba Cigars, at Lost and Found Cigars, at Havana House, at Youngstown Coffee Company. Wherever you want to find me.
By the way, Ryan, I don't know if you noticed. Oh yeah, you're smoking the La Barba Purple.
Oh
yeah.
What do you think, man? You like it? Are you digging it?
I don't know if you noticed when we changed our names tonight to like compliment your DJ. So I went with, because my last name is McDonald, so I went with MC Donald, and I guess Tony went with, because I'm cliche, and Tony went with, I think, his actual what he goes under.
Sound advice. That's great. Is that what you go under?
For my one show, yes.
Sound advice. I like that.
I think it's good.
It's good. It is.
Yeah.
And then Brandon went with the mongrel.
That's my writer. That's my writer name. Is this? Mongrel. There's a story behind that. I'll tell someday, but not now. But someday I'll tell.
So we're going after show.
Yeah,
guys.
we're going after show.
Send Brandon send the link out to the people.
Yeah, we sent the after show link out to a couple people, some regulars who they had some serious questions. Ryan, if you have a few minutes, one of the guys in the chat who had a lot of questions for you, we couldn't get to them all. He wants to probably throw some of them at you. Go ahead, Jeremy.
But at any time, Ryan, we're still live though.
We are, but we're gonna go off live. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime after you got to go, if you got family stuff or whatever, you're obligated past this point.
Awesome. We just want to thank Ryan one more time and Renee for coming on. Everybody who has watched in the chat tonight live, and remind you that Tony made the earlier announcement about our drawing for Youngstown Coffee giveaway. The drawing will be the first episode of December, when we will do the drawing live on air. And already tonight, I've been counting and tallying up people's shares. So if you shared tonight, thank you, Cody. If you shared tonight, this guy is amazing. If you shared the stream tonight, you get your name put in the drawing once. Now, when we post the podcast link tomorrow, if you share that counts as 1, 2. Your name will go in a second time. Anytime our socials post anytime they post anything, if you jump on that and you share it, your name goes in another time. So the more times you share our posts throughout the rest of the month, more times your name goes in, higher the chance you get to win the prize. That's the way we're doing it. So we lost DJ Vandal. Hopefully he'll come back into the after show. I didn't kick him. He just must have lost maybe his phone died or something. But hopefully he'll come back on.
Well, I did say he could bail anytime. So
yeah, maybe he just took you up on that. He was like,
"Peace out, bitches.
I'm out. I'm out." He pulled a Tony. He's gonna put his phone in the dryer. That's what he's gotta go do.
All right. Well, hey, thanks everyone. We'll catch you next week.
Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. We'll be here.